Welcome to another episode of Stowe Nation, a production of Park Media. Before I introduce today's guest, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, share, and leave a 5-star review. And if you find this podcast useful in any way and want to pay us the ultimate compliment, head on over to our Patreon page where you can subscribe to be a Classic, Stealth, or Beast Mode subscriber. Welcome back to another episode of Stowe Nation. So before I begin this episode, the intent for this episode was to have the CRO of Storyteller, Andrew Cooley, come on to answer everyone's questions since we just had the 2022 release. Unfortunately, he became extremely sick and couldn't make it. But you know what they say in showbiz, the show must go on. So in this episode, I did the best I could to answer everyone's questions. I'll admit there were several questions I didn't know, but I will try to get the answers for you. However, we did go over a lot of questions like the ability to retrofit the new upgrades to older modes, the new roof rack, suspension options, additional vents for the Volta Power System, the new Nvaider rack, supply shortages, and a whole lot more. So with that, please sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode. Hello, everyone. What's going on, Stowe Nation? I don't know if you can hear me, but so I have some bad news. Andrew Cooley got sick. I think he ate something bad, and he might have gotten food poisoning, so he's not going to be joining us tonight. But what I can do is I can still talk about the 2022 features and try to answer your questions since I've been around the new vans basically all weekend at the Venture Van Expo. Let's see. So I'll go ahead and start answering some questions right now. Let's see. So Eric asked, will Mode Com/Volta LCD have any type of remote management? Something like an app that you can control/monitor when away from the van. So I do know the answer to this question. So the answer right now is no for the Volta and soon for the control panel. So they don't have the app yet to be able to control the panel with your phone or like an iPad or something like that, but they're working on it, but they just don't know when it will be released. Okay, I actually have a call-in. Let's see. Okay, so what's your question, Pete?
Oh, I get to go first. My question is, I noticed that
hang on. Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties.
So my question is regarding the vents that were added to the Volta system cabinet.
Yes.
Is that something that can be added to a 2021?
So the answer is yes, but you'd have to do it manually. So I would say if you were going to do it yourself, you just take off the panel, you screw, you put the hole in it, and then you find a vent to be able to let it, the heat come out. So will Storyteller sell that back panel, the new upgraded one? Probably not, is my guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I should drill my own hole.
Well, I mean, if you really want to.
I will.
Okay, but yeah, did you have any other questions?
That was it.
All right, Pete. I hope you're doing well.
I am. Thank you. I hope you are too.
What were your thoughts of the new 2022 features?
Very evolutionary designing. Storyteller has done a really nice job of taking feedback and making small adjustments.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, awesome. Thanks, Pete. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling in. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the chat because I don't see anyone else calling in. So Jean asks, is there a platform on the Mode LT the same size as the other 3 modes? Is the platform on the Mode LT? Can you clarify what you mean by platform, Jean? I appreciate that. Scott asks, is Andrew Cooley still joining to answer the questions? The answer is no to that. He has food poisoning, and he's actually laid out, probably passed out from throwing up all afternoon, so he's not feeling well, so I apologize about that. Cindy asks, will Storyteller be putting be putting out a full mode LT video to discuss the features? So the answer is yes. I actually believe Chad and Paul are going to be making that. And I know that the marketing team was working on a video as well. So I don't know when it'll be out. I want to say probably maybe this week, next week at the very latest. Let's see, another question. Oh, Gene, do we get the same real estate on top of the roof, or is it smaller due to transit chassis? So the real estate is actually, I want to say, a tidge bigger on the rooftop, but it's basically the same. So when I went on the Mercedes chassis and the Ford chassis, I mean, just to my eyes, it looked the same. But it also looked bigger because they moved the fan closer to the passenger side. All right. Eric asked, what's your personal opinion on suspension upgrade? Agile, Rep Kit, or Van Compass 4.3, or both? So I actually just got done doing a podcast with Agile while I was out at the Overland Expo. So and I always preface this when I did the Van Compass podcast and with the Agile, is that I personally, because I'm full-time and I have so much weight, I haven't weighed my van lately because I'm kind of scared to, because I'm confident that'll bust over 10,000 pounds. I just don't know how far over 10,000 pounds. So that said, because of my personal situation, I would do both. So I would do a 4.3 with the Agile shocks. I know there are some people out there that have done it. I can't remember anyone off the top of my head, but I do remember seeing it in the Facebook group. If you're not in my situation and you're asking A or B, man, I don't know. Both have pros and cons. I think I would probably, if you're just a light person, like a weekend warrior, I think that the 4.3 will be really good for you. I think if you want a more stiffer suspension where you won't be tossed around a lot, I would probably go with the Agile. But honestly, like either way that you go, you can't go wrong, because it's going to be a huge step up from the stock suspension. So I hope that answers your question. Okay. Scott, yep. I hope Andrew Cooley does feel better too. I know everyone in that team has been busting their butt, and it's been super hard getting the new 2022s out here to Flagstaff. So I agree. Okay. Tony asks, what 2022 changes can be retrofitted to earlier modes? Okay, so the answer to that, unfortunately, is not a lot. So I asked myself, like, the control panel and the Volta control panel, they can't be retrofitted. The new water system can't be retrofitted because with the tank, they actually lowered the tank. And I'm assuming that you saw in the video that they have that secret little compartment storage over by the window side on the driver's side by the flare space now. So basically all the internal guts have been rearranged to be able to make everything work. So I'm afraid that there's not a whole lot that can be retrofitted. So if you had like a specific feature that you wanted to try to get retrofitted, I can maybe help you out on that. But just generally, the answer is no. All right. Kim asks, did you hear if Storyteller will be offering the Nvaider back rack for sale for the 2020 and 2021s? I believe the answer is yes. When they're going to do it, I don't know. If you guys don't know what that is the new kind of like Sherpa rack that they put in the back of the Stealth that will be coming with the new 2022 Stealths. I believe that can be retrofitted. Honestly, I don't think it's a lot other than exterior stuff now that I think about it. What I can do is I can bring these questions to Storyteller and I can put them out on the Facebook group to see exactly what and if anything can be retrofitted. But yeah, sorry, that's not a very good answer, I know, but I will do my best to try to find the answer for you. Kim asks, new tables, aluminum honeycomb, those can be retrofitted. Oh, yes, you're right. That's correct. Thank you, Kim. That is correct. All right. Eric asks, quality of Nvaider compared to the Owl Sherpa. Hang on, let me fix my... Quality-wise, I think they're equivalent. I think the way that they designed the new Nvaider is a little bit more unique, and you can do more stuff to it, and they have different brackets. I think it's a little bit more modular. As far as the quality, it's hard to tell because no one's used it yet. So it hasn't, stand the test of time yet. But first glance, it looks really good quality. And I know each door can hold 150 pounds. So, all right. Henry asked, have you driven both the Beast and the Stealth? If so, is there any difference in highway driving? Okay. So the answer is I've driven. So the Stealth, in regards to driving with the suspension, is the same as the Classic, which is what I had. So I know that the Beast comes with, the Agile Rip Kit Light. So to answer your question, yes, there is a difference. It's going to be more secure. You're not going to sway as much, and it feels. I hate to say it feels better, but it just feels more stable. And instead of like rocking like an old Cadillac back and forth, it'll be able to actually stop on its own. So I hope that answers your question. There is a difference. All right. Let's see. Mike asked, do you know who manufactures the 2-inch lift from the Mode LT? I believe that is Van Compass. Let's see. I think TC Bougie, he works for Storyteller now, and he's also the admin. I believe he answered that on the Facebook group. Let's see. Another question Joe is asking, any supplier shortages? Well, the answer is kind of yes and no. So the whole reason why they weren't able to release everything on July 4th was because of the supply shortages. So now they have been able to procure and get, what they need. Now, that's not to say that there's not going to be a supply shortage down the road, because COVID is a crazy animal. So I know that the Storyteller is going to be doing the best they can to be able to get the vehicles out on time. And so I think there's a logistical issue in the United States. It's pretty bad. So, and that's for every industry, not just for RVs. So I guess I'll throw that caveat out there. Oh, I can hear you now, Scott. So my feelings about the new vents is that I think it's a good thing. So especially in the summer and you're running the AC. So my experience being full time, there's been times where I've had a blast at AC almost at least 8 to 12 hours because it's just so hot, and I have kimchi in the van and whatnot. So I know that it was kind of weird because for me it just seemed like the heat coming out of the inverter kind of offset the AC cooling, and so I think with the ability for it to be able to vent a little bit better, I think that's a good thing. Yeah. So, I give him a treat all the time. What is the status of 2022s? Are they all sold out? Specifically Beast. Okay, so I don't know. I'm sure there's probably one floating around. I don't know of any right now. I do know that a lot of dealerships are putting deposits down on 2023s. So to answer your question, I don't know. But I can try to find out, and I can make a post in the Facebook group with all the questions that I don't know, and I can post them up so everyone can see if that helps once I get the answers. Okay, Cindy asks, we might anticipate that the Mode LT will need additional sway control in addition to the 2-inch lift. I don't think the sway is going to be an issue because the Mode LT doesn't have that high of a clearance, and it's all-wheel drive. So, it's all-wheel drive full time. So I don't think it'll be that big of a difference, but, I don't know, to be honest, because I haven't driven one. Let's see. We got another question. All right. Tony asked, do you happen to know if having a B2 carrier with both a large expedition box and medium box will make the backup sensors go haywire? Okay. So I have that on my Mercedes, and the answer is yes. I think there's a way to try to mitigate that. You can find that on the Facebook forum because I do remember seeing a couple posts about that. But for my Mercedes-Benz, the answer is yes, because it just sits low. So, okay. Celeste asks, are suspension upgrades recommended on the 2022 classics? If so, what is the best to add? Okay, so for the Mercedes chassis, I personally would recommend a suspension upgrade, just because it handles better. It's going to be a bit safer, especially in crosswinds. And if you want to do any type of off-roading, it'll help alleviate, it'll either help make things smoother, or it'll help you make, when you articulate, the vehicle to sway less. So I do recommend a suspension upgrade. Lorenzo asked, I think that Kurt wants to know if Storyteller is switching to the new Mercedes-Benz four-cylinder turbo diesel engine with the all-new wheel drive. So the answer is yes on that. That was confirmed with my 2022 podcast about in mid-July when I flew out there and talked to Lee Kahn and Andrew Cooley about that. So that is definitely going to happen. They're anticipating that in mid-year. But I mean, nobody really knows exactly when they're going to transfer to the new all-wheel drive and four-cylinder turbo. Let's see. Karen asks, what do you think about the removable cabinets? I like the idea of using the removable storage in Canyon Adventure GLSS. So what I think about the removable cabinets, I think it's pretty cool because it's modular. You can make it the way that you want it. So some people I know that I've talked to feel really claustrophobic sleeping underneath the cabinets. And if they're okay with not having those cabinets there and losing that storage space, and I think that's a great compromise. And then, of course, if you want it there, then you don't have to take it out. So I think it's kind of a win-win. Yeah, I agree too that Canyon Adventure Vans has a good system that you can remove too. I think it's all dependent on what you want to do. I know that you can remove the cabinets above, and you can still use the GLSS too. So, okay, let's see. Eric asks, any attachment ideas for the L-track when cabinets are removed? That's a good question. I personally don't have any ideas because I've honestly never explored that, but I think that's going to leave the user to its imagination, because I know you can attach a lot of stuff with L-tracks. So I kind of anticipate seeing people trying to store maybe their bikes, some other equipment, hang things, rock climbing gear, mountain bike accessories, things of that nature. I can totally see that. So actually, you can also remove both sides. I don't know if you know this, but you can remove both sides of the cabinet, so you can really open it up. So that being said, you can probably string stuff from side to side if you want to. Now, the difficult part is that when you put the bed up, well, actually, let me think about that. No, yeah. You can string things from side to side if you have both of the cabinets out. So it'll be interesting to see what people do and how creative they get. So, all right. Cindy was surprised that Storyteller did not move the outlet from aisle of the galley to the wall. Okay, so I actually know the answer to this one. So I was talking with Brent, and who's the R&D engineer for Storyteller, and they actually have to put that plug there. It's for their RV whatever inspection / certification. So they literally have to put it there, or it won't be qualified as an RV. So, I mean, that's the layman's term. I forget the acronym for the RV qualifications that they have to do, but that's why it's there. They did move it from the far left-hand side. They moved it closer to the switches for like your macerator pump and whatnot. And so I think in regards to the groove lounge, it's not going to be lined up as directly in front of the seat. So it should be offset a little bit. So that should help at least maneuvering around if you have the groove lounge up like that. So Mike asks, is the Dreamweaver bed in the Mode LT bigger than the Mercedes chassis? Oh, I'm sorry, I misread that. Is the Dreamweaver bed in the Mode LT bigger than the Mercedes chassis? The answer is, I think, by an inch. It's just a hair bit bigger. And it's not longer, it's just a little bit wider. Okay, Eric asks, thoughts on engine tune with Rentec? Is it needed? Well, I don't think anything is absolutely needed. It depends like what you want to do. I will definitely say that it won't hurt. You will see an improvement. Um, I think a lot of people get the pedal box or the Rentec because they're concerned about safety reasons in regards to like the slow um, momentum right off the line. So I think if that is a concern for you, then yes. I know when I had my Classic, when I picked it up, I really didn't notice anything. I didn't think it was that bad. And then I got the pedal box, and then I can definitely see an improvement. Um, I think when you're at high altitude, like above 5,000 feet, I think it will definitely help. I know that the Kerma's ECU mod will definitely help in regards to the low torque in regards to getting off the line at high altitude. So the question is it needed? I think that just kind of depends on if you feel like it's needed, but I can tell you it won't hurt. And I know that Steven Grasso, he has a Rentec and he really, really likes it. In fact, I haven't heard any bad feedback from Rentec. So hope that answers your question. SE says, you mentioned that Storyteller will be transitioning to the new Mercedes-Benz engine, but will that happen on the 2022 stows or not until 2024? Okay, that will happen in the 2022s in mid-year. The exact date, I don't know. But it will happen in 2022. Joe asks, I have a classic mode coming in March. If there is one mode, would it be the suspension? Oh, I'm sorry. If it's one mod, would it be the suspension? I think it's top 3. I don't know if I did it all over again. Because of the weight that I have, I would definitely get the suspension. That would be my number 1. My number 2 would be the owl boxes because, again, I'm full-time and I need the extra storage. So I think in regards to overall performance, you'd be safe to just be getting this. You would be safe just to get the suspension. Tony asks, it seems like it would be a good idea for us to cut additional venting holes on the older modes for the Volta system. I would agree. I don't disagree. In fact, I've thought about it and I've talked to other mode owners and I won't name names, but basically we were thinking about, I would never do it, but if I had the guts to do it, maybe cutting exhaust hole through the actual side of the van to let the air out. But then the question is like, how do you make that weatherproof? And I don't know. So I don't know the engineering or the technical, design behind that, but I think it wouldn't hurt. I've also thought about putting on the side panel, on the big side panel, I thought about cutting out a hole and putting a vent in there as well. So, but that's just me. And I also think it's kind of depends like where you're going to be at. So if you're always in a hot area, then it might be a good option. Dave asks thoughts on new Impower station and potential uses while on the road. So I think the Impower thing is really cool. I think it's cool that if you lose electricity at your house, that you'll be able to keep going and not need a generator. I will also say that while on the road, so when we were actually out there, Emma's van Falcor, she ran out of battery juice, and so we actually plugged her van into the Beast with the Impower, and so the Beast was literally powering the Emma's van. So I think that was pretty cool. So you can help another van person out there if they need a charge, because basically you have an adapter, it comes out, and if I remember correctly, it has 3 holes for like a 110 plug-in, and so anything that you can plug in 110 you should be able to use. SE, you see a fair amount of people having issues with their Mercedes chassis. As a full-timer, what has your experience been? And if you could go either way, would you go Mercedes or Transit? Okay, so the answer is yes. I won't deny that Mercedes does have chassis issues. If I had to choose, I would definitely go with the Mercedes, because the Ford, so I haven't released it yet, but I've done a podcast with Van Compass I've done a podcast with, I've talked to Quigley. I haven't done a podcast because I had to cancel it today because of the weather. But and I've also talked to some other sources. The problem with the all-wheel drive Transit is that you can't do a whole lot to it, like you can in regards to like putting an agile grip or a Van Compass 4.3 suspension on it. The most I believe you can lift it is 3 inches, and even with the 2-inch lift that it comes with, the clearance isn't very high. So when I was en route to Flagstaff, a bunch of us stopped in Mammoth Lakes, and there was a huge dirt speed bump, for lack of a better word, when we were out on the BLM land. And I know for certain that if the Ford Transit was out there, it would have gotten high center. So because I personally like to go out and venture and I fly fish and I go up in the mountains all the time, I would definitely pick the Mercedes chassis. And I understand that there's problems with the chassis, but at least for me, that doesn't stop me. So while I'm waiting for more questions to come in, I just wanted to tell everyone thank you so much for tuning in. I apologize if you're tuning in late. Andrew got sick, probably food poisoning, and so he wasn't able to make it tonight. So I'm trying to answer the questions to the best of my ability. But I do appreciate you guys taking your time out to come in and ask your questions. So thanks. Joe has a comment. He says, thanks for all you do. You've been a great help. Oh, thanks, Joe. I appreciate it. I love helping the community out. Okay. SE asks, do you know if the condensate issue that some folks have with the ESI is something that has or will be dealt with prior to delivery on new model, or will that be an ongoing concern? I think it's going to be an ongoing concern. So I haven't, when I was at Flagstaff this weekend, I didn't hear anyone talking about that, because there's more focus about the new features, not so much the chassis. So I'm going to say it's probably going to be an ongoing situation. But I think your local dealership should be able to help you out on that if it's a concern. So, okay, let's see. Eric asks, any idea what JBL speakers are used in new B/Stealth? I don't know, like the model. I don't. I'm sorry. But I can try to find out for you. In fact, let me write that one down because I might actually forget that one. He says, by the way, thank you. As a waiting storyteller owner, your podcasts have been invaluable. Oh, thanks. Appreciate that, SE. Let's see. Scott says, Young Wa's donation team and tonight's group, thank you for informative telecast tonight. Donation strong and fellow roadside Volta charging support. Thanks, Scott. I appreciate it. Kurt asked, did you listen to the new speakers? The answer is no, I did not. It was really loud over there, and because there's people going in and out, and so none of the speakers were on any of the vans. So, and if they were, I wasn't there when it happened. So, okay, we got another question. Tony asks, any reasonable chance to install the mode com to replace the existing controls? Do you mind just clarifying exactly what you mean by that? Are you talking about retrofitting the new control module in the older modes? Is that what you're asking? Oh, okay, it is. So the answer is no, because that was one of my first questions, because obviously I want it in my vans. But unfortunately, no. Let's see. Eric asks, are the heated seats new for 2022s? Are you talking about in the LT or in the Mercedes chassis? So I know that, okay, the Mercedes chassis has heated seats already. So I have a 2020 and it has heated seats. So wouldn't be new, but yes, they do have heated seats. Kurt asks, has anyone postponed their delivery for new features? Not that I know of, but I did talk to one person and he loved the new 2022. So to put everything into context, he bought a used 2020 about, I want to say a couple of weeks ago, maybe 6 weeks at most. But anyways, he just got the 2020 off of someone else, and he came to Flagstaff and he checked out the new 2022s, and he wants to put a deposit down on the Beast. So I don't know if he's going to try to sell the 2020 or if he's just going to rent it out. But I do know that there's people out there that definitely want the new 2022. But I haven't heard of anyone actually postponing their delivery for the new features. In fact, from what I've seen on the Facebook group, I think it's quite the opposite. I think people are, one, don't want to wait, up to a year or maybe a little over a year for a 2022. And B, they don't want to pay the higher price point. So that's what I've seen on the Facebook group. SE asks, you could wait forever, or I guess it's more of a statement. SE says you could wait forever if you're in constant search for the next year's upgrades. That's true. Let's see. Kurt asks, do you think mid-city equipment as good or better than Boost? So if you're referring to the Boost on the Beast, it's the same thing. So that high idle is made by Mid-City. What Mid-City doesn't have and what Storyteller and Volta won't release is the ability to be able to automatically charge your battery if you're not there when you have that Boost on. So to answer your question, it's the same equipment. So Eric says, was the mode com pretty responsive with the touch screen compared to an iPad, let's say? Okay, good question. Yes, it's zippy, snappy, or whatever adjective you want to use. As soon as you touch it, so you have like the settings, home screen, light screen, and thermostat button on the bottom, if I remember correctly. And so when you switch the different things that you want to, adjust, it's snappy. There's no delay. Let's see. Scott says, I'm concerned that any mid-city, etc., throw Mercedes computer error codes for the Mercedes dealer. So I have the mid-city high idle with the drone, and I haven't gotten any error codes. So I know a bunch of people have the mid-city high idle, like in their classics and in their stealths, and I haven't really heard of any error codes. So I've heard error codes in regards to, I think if you high idle it around 1500 to 17 RPMs, what is that filter called? The DPF filter, that will start throwing a code. But I think to prevent that from happening, you should set it at 1850 or higher, from my understanding. So that will help mitigate that. Okay, so let's see. Eric asks, thoughts on solid state fuses with ModeCom? Okay, so I don't know what a solid state fuses are. So I apologize. I don't know. I'm not that technical, I guess. So I don't know what that would do. My assumption is that it would be quicker. I don't know. I'm sorry. If you can just clarify your question on that, exactly what you're looking for. Scott says solid state fuses are the relays to lights to work with the new in-mode computer. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah, so I don't have an opinion on that because obviously I don't know what that was until Scott just told me. So, but I mean, it sounds fancy, so it's got to be better, right? Tony says, please let us all know how we can support you, like being a patron of Stonation. Oh, okay. I appreciate that, Tony. Yes, so I have Patreon. So if you'd like to support Stonation, there's 4 tiers. The first one is a classic, and that's literally $1 a month. Really, the perk of that is a virtual hug. But I mean, the next step up is a stealth tier, and that is you get early access to the episode. So if you haven't noticed, I released all the episodes on Wednesday. If you are a stealth mode Patreon member, then you get access to that on Sunday. Now, I will say there's only been one exception, and that's usually when there's like a new rollout. So when I did the 2022 podcast over at HQ, I literally couldn't get that early to people. So, but I would say 99% of the time, you'll, instead of waiting until Wednesday, you'll have access on Sunday. Then you have the beast mode, And so that's where it gets a little bit more, the goodies get a little bit more. So you get everything before that. And then I'm starting to host donation events. So when I do, I open up the slots to the beast mode and to the LT subscribers. They get priority. So for instance, I'm holding a New Year's Eve overlanding trip for Stonation. And so I offered the slots up to the beast and to the LT mode subscribers first. And they have approximately, I think, until the 1st to be able to get me the deposit if they're interested. And then after that, I will open up to the rest of the community. So that's one big perk. And then the big thing is, and the beast mode is $5 a month. And that's, I think, what most Patreon members sign up for. And then I actually started the LT tier. And so the big difference with the LT is obviously you have first priority in everything. You can contact me, whatnot. I mean, I'll answer anyone's question for the most part, but I'll prioritize the response for the LT questions. And on top of that, you get the highest priority for any Stonation event if you want to go to it. And then I think the biggest perk is that as soon as I get done editing podcasts, I throw them up on there. And so usually the way that it works is that, at least for my schedule, I'll do anywhere from like 3 to 6 podcasts in like 1 to 2 weeks, and I'll edit it, and then I'll schedule it out so it releases every Wednesday. So as an LT Patreon subscriber, as soon as I get done editing it, you get it. So you don't have to wait. So there's one LT mode subscriber right now, and that person has access to, I want to say like 4, maybe 5 episodes already. So that'll get pushed out till I think the end of November. So I think that's a really big perk to be able to listen to it as soon as I literally get done editing it. So, and then, so that's how you can support. I'm also coming out with, if you were at Flagstaff and you saw me, I was giving out Stonation stickers. So I will be selling those on the website too. So you can get some merch. I also have help with getting t-shirts, long sleeve shirts, and hoodies. And I'm also going to make patches, and I'm going to make the 5x7 patches that can cover the Volta light too for those people that have the 2019 through 2021 modes. So that's another way you guys can support Stonation, is just by purchasing some merch. So, okay. Thanks for that question, Tony. Eric says, thank you so much. And I will say thank you for being a supporter. It says, is the vent fan different from the old one? So in regards to like the model and manufacturer, it's the same. The location has changed, if that makes sense. Let's see. Kurt says, thank you so much for your patience and info you have been giving us newbies. Of course, anytime. So anything that I can do to help the community out, I love doing that. So, all right, let's see. Scott says, good night, good job, YW, and relax. Yep, Scott is a Patreon supporter, and I do appreciate your loyalty and support to Stonation. So thank you. Okay. Well, I think that's it. So again, thank you so much for tuning in, and I do sincerely apologize. Andrew did get sick and he couldn't make it. I am going to try to reschedule and see if I can finagle him to come back on at a later date. I just want to say thank you to everyone out there. Thank you, Stonation, for helping me, and thank you for being great and patient with me. So nothing but love to you guys.
Stonation is a production of Park Media. The executive producer is Younghwa Kim. The audio engineer is
Stephen Grasso.
The marketing director is
Guillaume Golsong.
The original music and artist is done by
Jason Walsmith.
The sound designer is
Lorenzo Interiano.
And the webmaster is
Peng Shi.
Without any of these people, this podcast couldn't happen, so a big, huge thank you. And a big, huge thank you to you, the listener. If you like this episode, please don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a 5-star review. This is Younghwa with Stonation, and I can't wait to share the road with you.